Heidi Ho Transformation Tribe. I am with one of my all-time favorite humans, the Pied Piper of Fitness, J.R. Piper here. Him and I crossed paths in 2012. He came into Blur, and I was instantly gravitated towards his energy. His first workout at Blur, I was like, this dude is going till he's drooling. Like the effort, and also combining effort with just like an easy-heartedness. Like there's a good balance of like fun-loving and also really hard-working, where I was like, we just become best buddies? I think so. He's got a really incredible story, incredible come-up story, and he's a huge inspiration to me just because of how much freedom you've created in your life and how you just have totally grabbed the steering wheel and taken control of every avenue of your life. And I just wanted you to share it with the Tribe family because I know it's gonna flip a switch in somebody's brain. Even if it just gets one, I know it's gonna flip some switches. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks for the kind words, man.
Yeah.
So my name's JR. I was born at a very young age in Phoenix, Arizona. I grew up in I would say a lower middle class family. My parents worked really hard, didn't have much, but worked really hard for what they had. Taught me good values, and I just, growing up, I would say that I had I maybe took a wrong turn somewhere. I got involved with some of the wrong people growing up, and I got involved in drugs and got into all kinds of trouble when I was young, and that took me down kind of a dangerous path. At 22 years old, I was homeless. I was living in my car and doing a lot of bad things to maintain my drug habit, and wasn't in touch with my family at that point. My parents had kicked me out of the house. My sister didn't allow me in her house anymore. A lot of friends had distanced themselves from me because I just wasn't doing anything really good, and I was living pretty dangerously at the time. So I would say at that point in my life, I hit what you would call rock bottom, and for a few years I've been trying to get my act together and get clean and on the right path, and I got clean. I've been clean, coming up on 15 years in February from all drugs and alcohol, and so early in recovery, with 30 days clean, it was like I decided at that point that I wasn't just trying to leave the drugs behind and get away from that lifestyle, although obviously that was a core motivator at the time. But for me, the process of recovery and getting clean and transforming my life was also about going towards something very healthy and positive and transformative. And so early in recovery, with 30 days clean, I remember vividly, I had 30 days clean, I decided to quit smoking cigarettes. I started going to the gym regularly, and I couldn't breathe on a treadmill. I could barely lift weights. I was terribly out of shape. I was actually, I want to say I was like 240, 250 pounds, about 28-30% body fat. Like I was fairly overweight and extremely unhealthy, a lot of medical issues. And I remember vividly the first time that I went for a run in my neighborhood. I ran around the block and I could not make it halfway around the block, right? And so just one day at a time, I continued to work out and push myself and began to eat healthy and educate myself on macros and caloric intake and just practicing healthier habits. And I would say for over 14 years now, one day at a time, I've completely transformed every area of my life. Not just being free from drug use, but learning how to live differently and learning how to practice healthy behaviors physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and good principles, and practicing those principles to the best of my ability in every area of my life. And the ways that has transformed my life is like indescribable. It's truly been a miracle and a gift, and I'm really grateful for where I'm at. So
I just love how you put that, like each day you tried to, essentially you were getting 1% better each day, and it went from you being out of shape to you just being this finely tuned athletic machine. He's coined the burpee king of Blur.
So I historically have always worked out early in the morning. It's one of the first things I do. It's a really crucial part of my morning routine, and it sets the tone for the day. And there's a few things that are really important about the timing of that. One is that if I wait to work out in the afternoon, which I've tried several times over the years, and I just always seem to go back to the mornings because that's where it's most efficient for me. Like you said, excuses get in the way. You know, I have an extremely busy life and schedule these days, so if I plan on going at 5 p.m. when I leave my office, inevitably what happens 90% of the day of the times is like I get busy and I end up at my office until 6 p.m. And then by 6 p.m. I'm hungry and I want to go home, or you know, you get exhausted, or you get busy and tied up for longer than you expected, or you're just exhausted and you need to rest, or whatever, right? There's always, or you just feel like you get lazy and you decide I'm gonna just skip it and go tomorrow. But doing it first thing in the morning, number one, it guarantees that it's gonna get accomplished for the day, right? There's no excuse at 6 a.m. to not go unless you're just tired and you skip it, but that's a whole different, you know, a tone that you're setting for the day at that point. So doing it first thing in the morning guarantees that it gets done versus allowing it to be, you know, something that gets postponed later in the day for any variety of reasons. But the other thing I love about doing it first thing in the day is, you know, the workouts that I do are brutally challenging, and there's just something really fulfilling about completing a task and a workout that is extremely challenging first thing in the morning. So my mindset is that, okay, if I can conquer a workout and overcome something incredibly challenging right out the gate, it sets the tone for the day. I'm prepared for anything. I go into my office, I go into the day, whatever I have going on, and I'm prepared to conquer any other challenge that gets in my way because I've already overcome something that was just, you know, really difficult.
And this man has a relentless fire. There's been many times where he has not only defeated me in a workout, but lapped me in a workout. And so I've always been just like, I want to surround myself with people like that. So I'm very grateful to have you in my life. Just your presence in the gym has always taken everybody's game to another notch. How did you create such a relentless fire in your heart? Like, do you kind of know the root of that?
So two things come to mind. One, I have a mantra. It's a very simple mantra, but I say it to myself all the time, and people laugh when I tell them this, but this is true. My mantra is literally, I'm a beast. I say it to myself all the time, whether it's just quietly,
it's so simple.
Whether it's just silently in my head, or it's out loud, or sometimes I'll fucking yell it.
And I'm sure there's times you say it where you don't necessarily believe it, but you say it until you believe it.
I say it to push myself through difficult times, and I say it at times when I'm absolutely crushing it and doing great, and I have tons of energy, right? But reinstilling that belief in myself and reassuring myself that, like, I'm a beast, I can handle anything, it pushes me to do more, right? Whether I'm in the gym or working,
created a beast,
overcoming personal challenges, or just having a tough day, and I'm like, God, I'm just not even gonna get through today because I'm so stressed. I'm just like, I'm a beast, I can handle this, right? And so that's just the mindset of someone that I think you know, truly desires to be successful and overcome obstacles. The other thing, I would say I just have a relentless pursuit of greatness and seeing how far I can push things and what I'm capable of. I think as human beings, we tend to severely underestimate what we're capable of. And so I always say I'm content but never satisfied. I try and remain grateful for what I've accomplished and where I'm at in life, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But I'm constantly pushing to do more and be more and accomplish and achieve more, because I just think, like, I don't know that, you know, there's an afterlife or a you know, reincarnation. I don't know about any of that stuff. What I know is I'm here right now. As far as I know, I have this life to live. This is not a rehearsal, and I'm not okay with living a mediocre life. I want to live a life that's truly exceptional and incredible, and the only way I'm going to get there is by putting in the work, pushing myself through the discomfort and the challenges that present themselves, and continuing to level up constantly in everything that I do.
You hit it on the head. Love that. And I constantly preach the tightrope walk to the tribe about being obviously grateful for everything you have, but never being complacent. So you're like not letting everything you want steal from everything you have, but knowing that you have an infinite amount of potential and greatness inside you. And once you truly realize that it's infinite, that's when you grab a shovel and you keep digging, but also with a grateful heart. Like, I would like you to touch too on the Piper Empire. So like what you do for your work, what you do for your hustle. And he's absolutely created freedom in his life. You look at these pictures behind him, he's randomly been everywhere in the world. Like, I love this story of him motorcycling across what country?
That was in, so this was in Vietnam.
So you took a motorcycle all the way across Vietnam.
Yeah, this is Vietnam, that's Vietnam, that's Vietnam. These are all over. This is Bali, this is Bahamas, this is in Turkey, that's Vietnam. These are Vietnam, this is in Bolivia. This is Montana, snowmobiling through Yellowstone National Park with my dad. That's Thailand, that's Kuala Lumpur.
So he's created this ultimate balance of hustle, but also just drinking in and eating in life to the fullest. So that's what everybody is craving, you know? If you have this job that you're locked into and you can never do these type of things, it's like, what is the money good for?
Yeah.
And you've created both worlds at the same time, so it's inspirational. I love seeing it, so I'll let you just...
Thanks, man. Yeah, these are like some of my favorite topics. Like, I could talk about business, fitness, and travel just like for hours. But anyway, the Piper Empire, really, I mean, so like I said, when I was 22, I was homeless. I had nothing. I had less than nothing. I was in debt. I had literally not a dollar to my name. I started a business at 22 years old, shortly after I got clean. I think growing up, I always kind of had this entrepreneurial spirit where I watched my dad run a business, and he wasn't poor by any means, but he was not super successful as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. And growing up, he used to actually tell me, like, don't go this route, like get a job and where you have like some security, right? And I always felt like I'm very competitive, and like I said, like I like a challenge. I like the idea of pushing through difficult obstacles and like the figuring things out, you know? So I just have always had the entrepreneurial spirit, didn't want to work for anyone. I started this little pool business when I was 22 years old, doing pool service for some friends' parents. And it started with one account. And then I got another one, and then another one, and then I got some referrals, and then I did some marketing. I did a few more, and it wasn't a big business.
No, that's a low startup. Like, you would need a lot to get started.
I needed some chemicals and a pickup truck.
Yeah, that's smart.
When I started, I didn't even have the pickup truck. I was using my parents' van, and I was using, like most people have, like a net in their backyard. I was literally using my client's net to like skim the pool. Like, I didn't have like anything to invest in the business. But then as I started making a little bit of money, I bought some stuff that I needed, and I just grew it very organically. And it started with referrals, and then it was, once I had a little bit of money saved up, I did some marketing, and I grew the business. And it wasn't a big business by any means, but over the next few years, I grew it to a number of accounts and had a decent living from it. And then because of it, it's actually a long story, so I won't really get into the details, but because of wreckage from my past, when I was using drugs and acting a fool, I had a suspended driver's license, and here I am driving around to do pools, and I kept getting pulled over on a suspended driver's license. And last time I got pulled over, the judge told me in no uncertain terms, if we catch you driving again, we're going to revoke your license, we're going to impound your truck, and we're going to put you in jail for 30 days. And so it became very apparent to me that if I got caught driving again, even though I was out trying to do the right things with my life, I'm clean, I'm like trying to be a productive member of society, I'm running a business and paying my taxes. If I got caught driving, just running my business, I was going to lose the business basically.
Yeah. Because
they're going to take my truck, and I was going to lose my license and go to jail. And I tried to hire drivers and stuff. I just never could find somebody that would stick it out with me. So I ended up, I did some research, and I found out that I could sell the business. I had a functioning business that was worth something. And so I sold it to a guy. I still know him today. Actually, he services pools for me today. But I sold the business. I made a good amount of money for my age and having never had much, right? It wasn't a lot of money, but for me at the time, it was a lot of money. And then I went to work for a company in a kind of a corporate, it was actually in a behavioral health field. So I was working with drug addicts and helping people get their lives together. And I did that for a few years and I loved that job. But again, the corporate environment, having a boss, having a 9-to-5, it just wasn't for me. And I had some friends who were involved in real estate and they were doing really well. And I started getting involved with what they were doing. And the key there, people always ask me like, how did I get into real estate, which is what I do today. And the key to getting into real estate for me, and I would say for anyone trying to get into some field that they're like unfamiliar with and don't have maybe the resources or the connections or the know-how, find someone. This was what was so invaluable for me, was that there were these guys who were doing it at a very high level, and I started working for them essentially, almost for free. I was getting paid, but it was very little. And the key is to find someone who's doing what you want to do on a high level and figure out how to add value to their life and their business. And then by having access to them and having close proximity to them, you get to observe what they do, how they do it, how the business works. I learned real estate by working in close proximity to these guys who were super successful at it. And within a year, I probably learned what it would have taken me a decade to figure out on my own.
This is very valuable information.
And so at that point, I fell in love with real estate. I ended up leaving my job. I look back at, hindsight's always 20/20, and Steve Jobs says you look back and you can connect the dots looking backward, right? Like I look back, when I sold that pool business, I was devastated because I lost something that I had worked so hard to create, and I felt like it was being forcefully taken from me, even though I was giving it up willingly. When I lost that job, I remember there was some stress, but I felt like I'm gonna be okay, And it's interesting, those were like really crucial, pivotal moments in my life and my trajectory, because it led me to real estate, which I've been doing for 10 years now, and I absolutely love. Like, I don't even feel like I work. I feel like I get to play a big game every day, and it's just fun, right? But, giving up the business, I was devastated. I thought that it was so unfair, and that was like the end of something successful that I had created. And little did I know, like, it was such a blessing in disguise at the time. So sometimes something happening that doesn't make sense at the time or is difficult at the time can actually be leading you down another path that is going to be more beneficial for your life. So like, I was just always trying to remember that when like something painful or challenging happens in my life, to not resent the situation and dwell on the pain that is created, but instead to keep an open mind and just know that maybe there's a greater plan for me, or maybe there's a reason this is happening. And even if it doesn't make sense right here, right now, someday looking back, this could be a vital, learning experience for me or opportunity for growth. And I just don't know that yet, So I always try and keep that in mind. But anyway, so today, what my business looks like, I've been in real estate for about 10 years now. Like I said, I started out working for some guys who were investing in real estate on a high level. I got my real estate license in 2012. I worked with them as their agent for a few years. I started working with a lot of other clients as a realtor for several years. And then just gradually, as I started to make money and save money, I began to invest in real estate myself. I bought my first rental property in 2013. I did my first fix and flip in 2014. In 2015, I started doing what's called wholesaling properties, and all the while still continuing to add rental properties to my portfolio. Today, I have a pretty good sized business. It's just me and one, she's my operations manager. It's kind of like she's my right hand, like she does a ton of stuff for me in the office. I buy and sell anywhere from 60 to 80 properties a year. Right now we're buying in multiple states, mainly Phoenix, or Arizona and Texas. And we're doing all kinds of different things with the properties. And like I said, I love it. And it's been really, really good to me. It's enabled me to create a life that is really beyond anything I ever would have imagined for myself. And I'm really fortunate, and I'm really grateful. The travel and stuff is a super important part of my story too, because I think it's really easy sometimes to get caught up in routine of a job or a business, or especially, you know, if you're successful or whatever, saying like someday I'm going to go out and do these things. But I've always kind of had this mentality that, you know, nothing's like guaranteed. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week. I could get, you know, paralyzed in a snowboarding accident, and, you know, in the winter. I could get killed in a car accident tomorrow, and I guarantee if I was laying in a hospital bed or on my deathbed, I would not be saying I wish I had worked more and made more money. I would be saying I should have gone to Vietnam and rode that motorbike, you know, or done the things that I wanted to do, or spent the time with the people that I love, that I cherish and want to, you know, spend my time with. So I try to have that balance, you know. Sometimes easier said than done, but it just, for me, it's like absolutely crucial to live my life and structure my life in a way where I can kind of have the best of both worlds. I work my ass off, and I'm blessed to have the success in my life that I have, but I also make sure and slow down, take time to enjoy that success, and spend time with the people that I care about. I would say that probably my like number one rule in like building a successful future or creating wealth is living below my means, right? So like you say, like I live very modestly for my income and my level of success, and I always have. Like
you can't out-earn a bad spending habit.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people I see who start to make some money, whether it's in their business or at a job. They start to make good money, and they instantly enhance their lifestyle to match their income. And then they're right in the same position, but they're driving a nicer car, or they have a more expensive watch, or whatever. And then they start making more money, and again, they go out and they buy a new house, and it's like there's never anything left over, and then they never have the ability to get ahead. And from day one, it was like, as my income increased, I kept my lifestyle really modest and lived below my means, so that I always had money left over to save, with the very clear intention of investing. And then over the years, as I've continued to invest, what happens is I start earning income from the investments.
Making money.
And those investments, you know, they pay off in dividends. So even when I'm not working, I'm still making money. So, you know, now it's that passive income stream has grown to a point where whether I'm working or not, there's enough money being generated that I have money from the passive income stream to invest. And then it's the law of compounding interest. It's like, you know, it just becomes, your wealth creation accelerates over time, and you have the ability to continue to grow, you know. And like going back to the fitness thing, like any of this stuff, you know, people see the end result, but nobody really understands like the work it takes to get there, right?
Yeah.
So like you could show that before and after picture, and people are like, wow, what did you do? And it's like, well, just every day I busted my ass for years. Like that's not a 90-day transformation. This is years of hard work and dedication and sacrifice and commitment.
It all comes back to you doing burpees at 6 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything that you just created, that's where it started, 6 a.m. burpees. So please do the early bird time special in the morning.
Yeah. But that, like running the lap around the block that I talked about, I couldn't make it around the block. Over time, it was like I just kept adding a little bit more. I kept running around that block, even if I had to stop halfway to catch my breath. I kept running until I could make it around the block. And then it was 2 blocks, and then it was 3. And then before I knew it was a mile every morning. And then it was 2 miles, and it was like all this stuff works the same. It's just one day at a time, very, very small increments in advancement. And gradually the success is built, the fitness, the body, whatever it is you're trying to create, it's built slowly over time with commitment and
strong morning rituals, like you say. And I actually just made a post about this last night, about how you look at your big wall of your dream and your ambition, and it's overwhelming because you want all these, but instead of that, you just kind of, what I hear from you is like you just kept laying one brick of that wall every day. Let's lay another brick. Don't even think about the big picture. Let's just lay another perfect brick. You know,
it's overwhelming that way.
Yes.
You know? One of my favorite pieces of imagery. I forget where I think this was a business coach or someone that showed me this. It was like in a slideshow, but so you imagine like a stack of mail, right? Like a tall stack of letters, envelopes, and just looking at that going like, well, I don't know how I'm ever going to get through all that. Like, there's a ton of stuff that I got to open and read and go through. But it's all about perspective. That tall stack, looking at it from the side, is really overwhelming. You know that's going to be difficult to get through and time consuming. But if you change your perspective and you look at it from the top, all you're looking at is one envelope. And you can open that one envelope, it's not going to be a problem. You know what I mean? So then it just becomes, okay, one at a time, and it's far more doable than looking at this giant stack and thinking about how long it's going to take. It's same thing, just a different analogy. But I mean, that's so key, because I think we talk ourselves out of things by getting overwhelmed by the bigger picture and how much work it's going to be. But if we just focus on the next step, just the next one thing that we got to do, you know?
Yeah, how have you made fitness a non-negotiable 6 a.m. thing? So you talked about earlier, like, so I'm sure, how often do you actually feel like working out at 6 a.m.?
I mean, so what's interesting is, you know, it's something that you feel like you have to do. You only have to do it until you want to do it, and then you don't have to do it anymore.
That's good perspective.
You learn to enjoy it. So like, I've grown to love fitness. I love working out. I love going to the gym. I love feeling sore. I love, you know, going to the gym in the morning. But to answer your question, there's a ton of days where I don't feel like going. I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep. I have work to do. Whatever, right? I'm just like, I'm in a bad mood. Like, what, any million excuses could prevent me from going to the gym. But so like Ed Milet, I don't know if you know who that is. He's a beast. He's a badass. He's like a business tycoon and a motivational speaker, and he's got some really cool YouTube videos and stuff. I heard him speak once, and he said that self-confidence comes from keeping your commitments to yourself. And I just thought that was a really interesting way to frame that. Like if I am constantly telling myself I'm going to work out, and then I break that promise to myself and I bail on the gym, I bail on myself and what I committed to do, I'm not going to trust myself. Like, I'm not going to feel good about myself. You know, it's like if a friend was constantly saying we're going to get together today, and then they just always are blowing you off, you'd be like, dude, I'm not hanging out with you anymore. Like,
the more you strengthen your integrity, the more you're grabbing the driver's seat of your mind, and the more you are letting your mind know, like, hey, I'm running the show here. And then vice versa, the more you bail on it, the more you're letting your mind know that it runs the show.
Exactly. So I have the first thing is to have a schedule. I have a pretty regimented schedule that I stick to, right? With the exception of an occasional day where I feel like it's more beneficial to rest, but that's very rare, right? I have a certain schedule where I have rest days scheduled, I have gym days scheduled, I know what type of workout I'm doing, so I don't have to think about it or get all stuck in my head. It's just planned, it's scheduled, I know it's expected of me, and I keep my commitment to myself to do that, and it's just a non-negotiable thing. If I wake up and I don't feel like going, I push my ass out of bed, I get dressed, I show up, I get it done, and I go home. And almost like 100% of the time, I'm always really grateful that I went in the first place. And if I struggle to get going, the commitment is not to go and do a workout. The commitment is just to get dressed, to get in the car, and then I'll consider about it. You know what I'm saying? Once I'm in the car, okay, just get to the gym. Once I get to the gym, just do the first set. I just commit to these micro steps, and
That's good. I actually, in the same concept, when you're in the middle of one of these ball busting workouts, I'm like breaking down a burpee bit by bit. Put your hands to the ground.
Put your hands on the floor.
Step your feet back. Drop your chest to the floor. Do a push-up. Step your feet up.
Those micro steps, again, the letters, the bricks, it's just easier to take that next micro step than it is to look at the bigger picture and get.
And on those days where you are like feeling angry, cranky, tired, whatever, I actually have gotten myself to look forward to the working out on those days, because I just know I need an attitude adjustment. I'm like, I gotta, and I know that it will create that, and it always does for me. And
what's interesting too is I would say more than half of the time when I'm really tired and I do not want to go to the gym, and I force myself to go, I'd say more than half the time I end up having like stellar workouts on those days, because I go in with this very like, I'm here to just knock this out and get the fuck out of here. Like I'm not like taking my time. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm just there to bang it out and go. And I end up having like a really intense workout, and then I leave feeling like, oh, it was fantastic.
I appreciate your time so much, Piper. Thank you for doing this with me. And I think you're gonna unlock a lot of people's minds into their own potential. So I appreciate you so much, brother. Thank you for taking the time, man.
My pleasure, bro. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.